begins.
From an ever-growing family of dogs to an ever-growing army of toy soldiers at the Kensington home of film actor Peter Cushing. For in his spare time, Peter, an enthusiastic member of the Model Soldier Society, collects, makes, and acts as general to an army over 5,000 strong. These troops, from every period of military history, are the result of meticulous research into uniforms and military techniques. Cushing often links hobby and film career, portraying military leaders in films like The Black Knight and Alexander the Great, and then creating in miniature the armies of these historical characters. Many of these tiny replicas are made from compressed drawing paper, delicately hand-painted and with detachable swords and helmets. But surrounded by these miniature masterpieces, Cushing is not content to just sit and admire them. He plays with them. He plays with them solemnly and conscientiously, according to the rules laid down by H.G. Wells in his famous book, Little Wars. The title is described as a game for boys from 12 to 150, and for that more intelligent sort of girl who likes boys' games and books. In fact, the game has been and is played most soberly by distinguished people. It's said that Napoleon was an enthusiast. Played rather like a game of chess, but more exciting, the battle area is first laid out to the player's specifications. And then, in turn, artillery, cavalry, and infantry clash, or take evasive action according to the player's generalship and spirit. Altogether, a fascinating test of ingenuity and, more important, good marksmanship by the gunners firing their toy shells, proving, if we needed proof, that playing soldiers is one game we never grow tired of.
Hello there.
Hello.
I love that clip so much.
God damn it. Yeah, I know, dude. Like, I want to know, like, what the greater interview or what the greater clip that comes from. Because, like, clearly that's way before he did Star Wars. But, like...
1956.
Yeah. Dude, from 6 to 150 years old. Like, what an amazing age spectrum you got there. But, dude,
Yeah.
that just kind of also shows... I mean, like, we've seen it through history... like even in ancient Egypt, that they had little miniatures and like board games to play like chess and checkers. So it's like
tabletop war games is not new.
And the idea of miniatures and miniature gaming is just like, it's just amazing how certain things make its way through the centuries.
Seriously, and some things are just kind of timeless. You know, there's always going to be people that enjoy doing it. I feel like if Peter Cushing was around today, he'd be pretty impressed with the state of wargaming in terms of like how much it has expanded. You know, all the various incarnations, like not just Warhammer, but like everything else, all these like independent games that exist. The state of Warhammer itself is kind of terrifying and kind of a nightmare, but only as a Warhammer fan would you feel that way. I feel like if like you're someone who played with like Little Wars in the 50s and then you came and then like there's so much variety now, that alone I think would be very impressive. Hello there, everybody. Bendu, are you still with us? I think we may have lost the Bendu. No matter, he'll join us back in a second. In the meantime, yep, there we go. He's all the way on another planet, so the connection can get iffy sometimes. But how is everybody doing? Why does Talking Documentary seem like it would have played in my school in Zimbabwe in the 80s, 90s when I was growing up on a projector? Because it's super old-timey and it's got some random British guy's voice. What a voice, indeed. I really love that style of narration, and I really like modern things that kind of try to like emulate it. Tom Kane in the Clone Wars, honestly, is a great example of that. It's like, previously on the Clone Wars, a galaxy in peril or whatnot. Very much like in that old school 50s serial style, because that was one of George Lucas's main influences when he was creating Star Wars. Loss of communication can only mean one thing: invasion. Is it mid-Atlantic? I guess it is. I guess it's more of a. No, yeah, you're totally right. You're totally right. Well, Bendu has been super excited to talk about Star Wars Shatterpoint, which is a new tabletop war game, similar to Marvel Crisis Protocol in that it has smaller teams fighting each other. I don't really know too much about it. I'm also excited to paint some minis, but I have not dived into researching the rules and the gameplay the way Bendu has. So I am really going to leave it to him to dive into that whenever he's able to fight off all the buzz droids and get back on the internet. I don't know, man. The Federation, they might lose their trade franchise, but if someone else is pulling the strings, they might just go for it, honestly. Cool. All right. Well, here, we're going to do an impromptu Ask Me Anything until Bendu returns. So that's the time limit. And as soon as he's back, I'm done answering questions, so get them in now. What do you got?
Catch some bad, walk down, face him with the heater. The devil under your feet, you on your way to see him. Right foot creep.
You're too late. He has returned. The AMA is canceled. You doing good? What happened there?
I don't know. Everything was giving me like the loading circles, and then
Pinwheels.
so I could still hear you, and then I stopped being able to hear you, and then StreamYard just decided to crash. So
you froze, and I didn't realize it for a while, and I was just happily talking to like a JPEG of you, basically. It slowly got more pixelated, and then I clued in, and then there was nothing. But it's all good. We're back now.
it happens. So yeah, so
exactly, it happens sometimes. We're fine.
So wargaming wise, mini wise, it's something that's been around for forever. I was able to play for a demo of Star Wars Shatterpoint at my local game store the past weekend.
Hell yes.
And it was kind of something that it was kind of like everything I kind of hoped it would be. It was way more easier to follow than something like Legion. The
Legion being the very much like a Warhammer clone.
Yeah, the large score Star Wars game that's kind of like Warhammer, where you have large collections of a squad, whereas this one's like so much more like you have your 2 primary units, 2 secondary units, and then like 2 minions that follow the 2 secondary units. But like the size of the miniatures is so much easier painting wise, and
because they're slightly larger.
Yeah, and it's like following some in the Facebook groups and following some of the painting streams and painting channels. Like it can be very intimidating for new painters to come into this world, but like one, because of how big the miniatures are, and 2, when you're able to join these Facebook groups, there's a lot of discussion and a lot of free tutorial on how a lot of these painters did their edge highlighting, or how they used their contrast paints, or how they were able to do certain effects that they were able to do. So it's like, it can be very intimidating at first to see the level of skills that some of these painters do have out there. So but like you don't have to compare your own skill to them, but at the same time, you're able to like look at these other painters and be like, oh, they did this with a silver like edge highlight. I really like how that looks. I'm going to try to do that. Or like, oh, I like how this smoke effect looks more gray and fluffy white versus this smoke effect that looks more black and smoky. And so it's like it gives you inspirations and ideas of like how you want your minis.
And if you ask that guy, he'll tell you the technique behind it to get both of those 2 different effects. Yeah, that's something that I learned when I first started painting minis, when Games Workshop finally put out a Lord of the Rings war game, and I started building an Uruk-hai army of Isengard. It was awesome. But I would hang out at the local shop, and that's where I would do my painting. And all the guys that were there that were super talented, like I was also intimidated. But eventually I realized everyone that's really, really good at painting minis is really excited to talk to you about how they paint their minis. And that's like a wealth of knowledge. And like, as intimidating as it can be, just go up to someone that's painting and be like, hey, how did you do that? And they will be so happy to tell you about it. You know, that's all they want to do is talk about their painting.
Yeah,
and that's how I learned is from
right.
From,
unless
asking
they're
questions.
like deep in the zone, and then they'll tell you like, no, I have to work on this squad. But game wise, so Shatterpoint, so fucking fun. The amount of
Yep.
characters that are available to play and that are being teased and that are coming out is already just so palpable. So
Let's roll the little trailer that we got because
Yeah, okay.
that'll show a couple of the minis that you can talk about here.
Tis
So
true.
you just played the demo for the first time.
I played the demo for the core box, which comes on the
Nice.
good guy side. For the light side, it comes with Anakin as hold on, let me think now. It comes with Anakin and Ahsoka, Siege of Mandalore Ahsoka as your two
Sick.
primary units. It comes with Rex and Bo-Katan as your two primaries, and then it comes with two 501st Legion members and then two Death Watch Mandos as their grunt units. And so you have two squads as your team. So if you wanted to, you could totally have a light side team and a dark side team.
Fuck
For
yes.
your team, like that's
Fuck
your
yes.
two squads, and you can go at it. And then in the core box for your dark side characters, you have Siege of Mandalore Maul and like Clone Wars Ventress, which timeline wise,
Okay, yes,
it's a little weird. Timeline wise, it's a little weird. But
it's a little weird, but I'm into it. More
Yeah.
Ventress, please.
Dude, the dark side. So I played as dark side for my demo, and like I really so going back to the characters. So the two primaries for the dark side is Lord of Mandalore Maul and Apprentice Sith Assassin Ventress. Your two secondaries are Gar Saxon for Maul's right hand man. He comes with two Commando Mandos.
R.I.P. Ray
For
Stevenson.
his grunts, and then for Asajj, she comes with Kalani, which is actually pretty fucking dope.
The tactical droid.
I never really thought that
Kalani from Rebels as well.
That cool as a character, and then so
Kalani's
comes,
dope.
Yeah, and then so in the core set, he comes with two sets of 3 B1s as his grunts.
Hey, Dick.
But a lot of his skills that you can pay to buff your grunt characters, it just says battle droids or droid allies. So if you later on get like super battle droids that you want to use as your grunts, or if you have Magnagar droids that you want to use as your grunts, you can still use Kalani as like your secondary leader, and he can give buffs to those droid units. So in my demo, it was so interesting. Like I put Maul. I tried to put Maul in the center of it, and the Commando Mandos really into a really aggressive spot. But because of the way that the objectives in the map ended up being out.
Is that randomly configured, or do you guys decide?
They are randomly configured. They are
okay, nice.
Configured. So it's kind of like Kill Team and Warhammer in that each card kind of has like a designated map size for the objectives.
So you can get really, really good at the maps.
Theoretically,
because you can drill strategies though, because the layout is going to be based on
but
a map.
The terrain always changes, so the position of the objectives might be the same. So it's still very objective heavy. So like one of those objectives could be on like a really tall tower, or like one of those objectives could be like between two buildings, sort of.
Got it.
So depending on if your characters have a jetpack, or if they have force jump, or if they have like.
That's why we're starting off with Siege of Mandalore. So many jetpacks on both sides.
So many jetpacks.
Here's the trailer that shows off a couple of these awesome models. I hear what you're saying though, that they're getting bigger and bigger. They totally are. Eventually, they're going to be bigatures. 6-inch miniatures. You're going to need a bigger table when you get to that size.
That's true. I appreciate for this game also that the battle board is 3x3, so it's generally the same size as most other board games.
Nice, that is good.
But yeah, so this is half of the core set right here. So we get each Mandalore, Ahsoka, we get Rex. So Rex and Bo-Katan both have options of helmet on and helmet off.
That's sick. And you just decide which head to put on the sculpt.
Exactly. Grievous, I believe we won't be seeing until August. Kenobi and
the Magna Gods.
Kenobi and Dooku come out.
I want Luminara so bad.
God, Jango Fett's gonna be so fucking cool. Luminara and Barriss and the Republic Commandos, I believe, also come out in August, along with Grievous. But Yeah, it's so fucking cool. I'm so pumped for Dooku because I saw online that, so as you can see in that mini, he has his right hand extended out and then he's holding his lightsaber in his left hand, but it's just like plain open palm. But apparently in the box that he comes with, he has an alternative arm where it has force lightning actually coming out of his hand.
Oh,
So
nice for the
I'm
Dooku.
like so fucking pumped to be
Let's
like
get another
paying
shot
some
of the
force
Dooku. There he
lightning.
is.
So right there, in that right.
I kind of
hand.
like him. He's kind of just doing the Saruman fingers a little bit in that.
He is
sculpt.
doing the Saruman fingers. It's true. But dude, I'm so pumped.
Yeah,
to
it looks sweet,
bro. I'm so pumped for my painting schemes already. Mother Townsend and the Night Sisters also come out in August. Of which
that's right. We saw the promo pics for the Night Sisters. They look excellent.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my god. Speaking of Gray Force users. But yes, the color schemes, like I'm so excited already. I actually messaged Atomic Mass Games on Instagram, I think, about their Grievous, if they'll have an option where he has both of his arms versus 4 arms, because they released his card earlier today, so players were able to see what Grievous's tanky abilities are. But yes, I'm super pumped to have a dark side team. I'm super pumped to have Night Sisters. This game is actually going to give me a little bit more breathing room from Marvel Crisis Protocol.
I'm really loving that we got Republic Commandos in here as support
dude,
units.
I'm pumped to see what those commandos.
Republic Commandos right out of the gate. This game is going to be nuts.
I mean, not quite out of the gate. So we're gonna have to wait till fall, maybe end of summer for this particular box set for them. But the fact that
maybe not on launch, but you know what I mean. Like they're already the game has not fully premiered and they're already announced. You know, it's already on the horizon.
They're so gorgeous.
So Cal wants to know how long it would take you to paint one on average. Do you think?
Oh man, I don't know. That's hard to say. It depends.
Bendu's a perfectionist. Bendu will like complete the mini and then go back and change one thing and then go back and change something else. And like all of that counts in my opinion. So like you work on your minis for like.
Well, I'm also a sectional mini builder and painter. Like I'll keep the head and face of the miniature separate so I can do detail on it. Because I don't like gray spots. I don't like empty spots. So like I'll keep a cape separate so I can fully paint the cape and then glue it on. And then like completely do the face and then glue it on. My plan is to do all the bases all at the same time and to do the core set terrain building all at the same time. Makes sense.
Assembly line style. Just knock them all out.
Assembly line style. I'm definitely painting Dooku and Jango first. Those are my first 2 hits. Dooku and Jango. Probably Kalani, probably the B ones, just because they did so fucking well in the demo. Lord Maul and the Commando Mandos for sure. Since I will potentially be seeing you in July, Kyle Katarn.
Hell yeah.
My question for you,
what's up?
Because I plan on giving you Anakin, Rex, and the 501st minis. Do you want me to cut them and pre-glue them for you and then give them to you, or do you want them on their sprue?
I'll take them on the sprue. I'll do the cutting and the gluing and figure out the positioning and everything.
And then you'll do your own paint. Okay, cool shit.
Yeah. No, I'll take it from the sprue. I want to do the full-on experience.
Cool. So I'll give you their character cards also. But yeah, the game itself is very easy to follow. It also plays a lot quicker than Marvel Crisis because it's essentially a best 2 out of 3 sort of a matchup.
There's so many ranged people too.
Well, it's interesting. Well, yeah,
like a lot of Marvel Crisis Protocol is wasted on trying to close down the gaps.
Yeah, so it's not even necessarily a death match. A lot of it is more of like a king of the hill sort of a situation of who can hold which objectives the longest, and then at certain points, the objectives on the map will change positions. So like you could bum rush the center because one of the objectives could be there, and then later on in the game, like the objectives could be on completely opposite sides of the map, so everyone has to like bolt the fucking opposite direction. So it's not necessarily a death match, which I really appreciate and really like. It's definitely more of like a just.
I can dig it.
It's literally like
fast-paced games are more my speed.
Yeah, which squad can hold their own quickest at this moment, but it's still like kind of based on dice when it comes to the success rate, but like
which brings in the element of chance, the randomness, which also makes it fun.
Yeah, no, this game I'm totally planning on playing for giggles, for fun, for character enjoyment and character favorites. I'm definitely not going to be doing this on any sort of competitive level like I have
For
with Crisis
sure.
Protocol.
I'm gonna play this mostly in a painting capacity, and then I will do games from time to time. But like you and I are definitely gonna play against each other in this.
So the other thing too is
we're gonna play some Shatterpoint in Anaheim at the Katarn Con. That's what we should do.
I don't know about I don't know.
We'll just use the models that you bring. We won't have them painted up or anything yet, but we can try and do a demonstrate like a demo round.
If I can get at least 2 squads done by that time, we'll see. Because the game itself comes out June 3rd, and then a lot of the expansion, the second box characters, Grievous, Mother Talzin, who the fuck else?
Dooku and Asajj.
No, Asajj is core box. Dooku and Django come out the same time as the core box because Obi-Wan and Commander Cody are also coming out at the same time. Oh, Mace Windu.
Are in the core box.
Yeah. I think Mace Windu is going to come out at the same time because they're going to try to do like 2 dark side and 2 light side at the same time. Kind of.
I mean, it's called Shatterpoint. Windu should be front and center.
Yeah.
So yes, I am painting now. Well, I'm not nearly as good of a painter as
He's
Bendu.
been painting.
I've been painting for years, but I haven't painted for years, and so I still consider myself a beginner because I never really advanced very far when I was. But I've painted, for some examples here, I've got the Raven's Claw from Jedi Outcast, of course, and the man himself, a little Kyle Katarn. I don't know how well that's going to focus, but yeah, autofocus is turned off. But look at this very blurry mini of Kyle Katarn. He's actually quite good. I'll link a photo in the comments if you're watching this on Twitter. I'll show it that way. But yeah, I've been doing a little bit of painting and I'm enjoying it. I'm getting better. I'm learning as I go. And I'm looking forward to painting some Shatterpoint minis because they're going to be so much larger in scale. I think they're going to be a bit more forgiving for me.
Yes, 100%. Especially with dry brushing, especially with small brushing, because neither of us use airbrushes. Anytime I'll talk to someone online and I'll ask them like, do you use hand brush or dry brush or a hand brush or airbrush? And they'll say air. And I'll be like, well, never mind. We can't really talk shop because like that shit. Like I wish I understood air.
It's so foreign. It's a completely different thing.
Yeah, it's a completely different thing. But like I'm not shit talking on airbrush at all. But it's like
no. I very much respect it and am impressed by it. It's just so unknowable to me. Yeah. It's beyond my skills to the point where I'm just like, that's a different thing, you know.
Because the other thing that comes out at the end of June that has been greatly anticipated is the Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering cards. So I have to try at some point snatch up the commander decks, which is only thankfully 4. Right? There's only 4 commanders. There's the Servants of Sauron, the Riders of Rohan, Food and Fellowship, and
the Lord of the Rings cards look so fucking
Elven
good.
Council. So
I love the art that they've given us. So
like, yeah. So in Anaheim, we'll either play a round of Shatterpoint, or I'll bring the 4 Lord of the Rings commander decks, and we'll have like a 4-way match or something.
This is gonna be sweet. This is gonna be awesome. Yes. So we should talk a little bit about what that's gonna be, because if you guys really want to, you can be a part of this. We're gonna be in Anaheim to go to Galaxy's Edge on Thursday, July 13th. We're doing a meetup via the Discord, and we're going to be reserving a booth at Oga's Cantina and just like posting up, hanging out with everybody, playing Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering, maybe doing a demo of Shatterpoint if we can get enough pieces together. And who knows, man, maybe I'll be able to pick up a course set from Galaxy's Edge. You know, they might actually have them there.
No, I doubt that.
They got the big ass launch bay, whatever it is, by Star Tours. They sold all kinds of stuff when we were just there. I bet they might have the course set. Since it's brand new, they'll be pushing it, you know? So I might be able to pick one up. We'll see.
Again, it's $159. So if I were you, I would try to snag a set of rule sticks, like ruler sticks, measurement tools. That's what I was trying to fucking say. If I were you, try to pick up a set of measurement tools and game dice beforehand, because that would probably be the cheaper, easier way.
Okay.
Then, yeah, dude, I'm so pumped to see your fucking clones. I'm so pumped to see your painted clones. Like I
might not do 501st.
The droids just like
I mix it up.
Yeah, so Kalani was he put in so much fucking work. So he had abilities where you were able to use force points, kind of like in the RPG game, but like you're able to use force points to do certain abilities the characters have. And so fucking Kalani, bro, like he's able to give your droid units extra movements on his own activation. So on his own activation, he can give his grunts extra movement and like free attacks on enemies. So like he was just paying for B1s to just put in extra attacks into Rex and to fucking some clone troopers. And like I really wasn't expecting to do well with the B1s in the droids, but like out of the commando, like Gar Saxon dropped like a
turns out you're a separatist prodigy and you never knew it.
Like Rex, it was a combination of Rex and a couple of 501st that took out Gar Saxon, and then I think it was Anakin. Anakin stabbed one of my commando mandos in the chest with a lightsaber, but which was pretty appropriate. Yeah,
it's pretty Anakin of him.
But it was pretty Anakin of him. But yeah, it was fun. It was interesting. But yeah, like all those terrain buildings, I had to figure out how to mass paint, mass produce all that shit. And then yeah, so for the bases, I plan on just covering them all with terrain paint. So like the stuff that's like sand and paint together, and then just dry brushing it gray. That way every character and every mini has a uniform base. That way
I think that's an important thing to do.
Yeah, because I don't like how some of the like that one set of B1s, how they looks like they're walking on sand and rocks, and then Kalani is standing on metal. Like, why the fuck? Like
I always did that with my fighting Uruk-hai. I would always do the bases first and then stick them on there after priming everything. Because that way all the bases can be the same. Me and my dad built like a cool we had an old like coffee table that was kind of tall that we had replaced like years ago, and it was just sitting in the garage. And so we took a bunch of sheets of plywood and then carved it down into like hills and stuff and put like a moat of lava in the middle and had like a little Mordor table. And so I made sure that while we were building the table, I like put a whole bunch of extra bases together for like future minis that I would buy, so that I already had the bases made.
Yeah.
And so like, because I didn't have that many orcs at the time that I had the Mordor table, but I was like, I knew I was going to get more orcs. So I finally got enough. I have photos of that thing somewhere. I got to dig them out because I had a lot of fun on that thing. It was really fun building it.
I'm hoping that once I do start painting Shatterpoint stuff later in the summer, that like I might get, because I also wanted to congratulate you because your Instagram is almost at 2,000 followers, which is really fucking cool.
Is it really?
You're almost at 1,800 or 1,900.
Oh shit! But, I need to start.
Yeah, like none of my painting mini posts like always generally get any hits. So I'm really hoping that the Shatterpoint really kind of like tips me
in the map
up and over a little bit. But yeah, dude. The painting is a lot of fun, but it doesn't get a whole lot of media wise. But like, yeah, Crisis is so much fun. Shatterpoint is going to be so much fun. I really need to build a fucking lightsaber in Batu. So yeah, before
dude, the lightsaber building is such an experience, man. It's like the best. It's like the best part for me. The best part was the lightsaber, and then also the droid assembling was like a whole experience in and of its own. It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
But then the timing for us just happened to be perfect in that we did Smuggler's Run, which was the ride on the Falcon, and it was right when the sun was going down. And so right as we're walking back from the ride, the fireworks show started. And it was like Batu was thanking us for like saving the town on the Smuggler's Run ride. And like the fireworks, it was so like fucking cinematic. It was just,
yeah.
It was amazing. And then Dave put on the victory celebration on his phone.
So my plan is when we get there, because that brings up a good point also of like, we want the lightsabers to look the most pristine in the twilight and in like the midday light.
You want that glow, but you don't want to lose the detail. Yeah.
Yeah. So my plan for when we meet you guys down there is to do like Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, like all of the prime good like Disneyland shit like early on. And then we hit up Olga's Cantina. We do some of the Batu rides. And then once the sun starts to come down at like 6 o'clock. Oh yeah. Cause I still need to buy a white crystal. And I need to see if I can buy a shorter blade. You know,
some of these things can be done out of sequence. Like you can get all of those accoutrements before, and in fact, you should go to Savi's and get all your like bits and bobs for the lightsaber before you do the saber build.
Exactly.
Because you're gonna want because that's what I did because they didn't have purple crystals available. They only had like blues and greens in there. So I had already been there. So I was able to sneak. I just like did a little like sleight of hand and got my purple crystal into the thing. And I was the only one in the room with a purple blade when they turned on.
And I already know that I want this blade to be a short saber. So I have to ask them if they sell different blade lengths. Because my Satine Sean saber is already like the perfect long length for me. But for the custom saber, I want it to be like a short one. And then just Miyato Musashi old school samurai that shit and have like my regular saber and my wakizashi and be like just all the more Ahsoka. But
absolutely.
Yes.
But yes, that's the plan, is that the meetup itself is primarily going to be in Oga's Cantina for most of the time. We're going to get a booth as
you and I are
close
going to meet up
as
early
we
on.
can.
Yes,
but I'm talking about the meetup. I'm talking about the meetup for everybody right now.
Yeah.
Is primarily in Galaxy's Edge at Oga's Cantina, and then depending on how long we're able to keep it going for, we're all going to go down, build a lightsaber with Bendu, do the Falcon ride a bunch of times. My plan is to try every single drink on the menu and review them and see how far I can get through that before I completely lose the plot.
Either that or it's going to be like $70 because of all the fucking custom drinks.
Well, that's true. That's true. And that's a factor. That's a factor when you go to these Disney things, you know. They say that they have all the colors, but just when I did the saber building, some of the colors weren't available. And they let you know when you're walking in there. They're just like, oh, we're out of stock on purple and white right now. And they tell you that while you're in the line to go into the build. But if you go to Savi's workshop, they have all the crystals there. So you can just buy whatever they were out of stock. I don't know why they don't just send someone to Savi's to restock the saber building room.
No, I don't think that's how it is. I think they, for the actual build itself, they only give you the base color choices. And then at Savi's is where you can build or you can buy specific like special crystals.
They've got like a little they got a little sign with all the possible crystals on it.
Yeah.
And there's like an attendant standing next to it when you get into the line. And they're like, which one are you going to get? And I pointed at the purple and they're like, oh, we actually don't have purple right now. But it was on the sign, which tells me that they do offer it at some point. And so I was just kind of confused why they didn't just send a runner over to Savi's, which is like next door, and come back with a fistful of crystals, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure the base color that I'll have to buy for the saber build itself will be blue, just because I really like blue. And like from the sabers I've seen come out of Disney, those blue LEDs or whatever, I think blue just might be a really easy bold color to make. So it's just like, and it's such a deep Revenge of the Sith Anakin blue. Also,
it's a really nice blue. It's a really nice blue.
It's so fucking sapphire, and I love it. So
yeah, when Dave and Natasha went with me last time, they both got blue sabers, and they were both like, they were so bright. They're so goddamn bright.
Yeah.
They kept turning them on in the Uber home, and it was hurting my eyes.
But yeah, but I'm definitely have to buy an Ahsoka white crystal first and a short blade.
Definitely, yes. No, the white crystal. The white crystal is probably the one that I'm going to buy when I go back down there.
The what?
The white crystal is probably the only crystal that I'm going to pick up. Because I'm thinking about it, and I was like, I'm trying to be very strategic because I already went to Galaxy's Edge and I picked up a lot of things that I really wanted. So unless they've added a bunch of things, that
I know, right? Like the Sith obelisk.
Yeah, I'm pretty stocked up. So I'm only going to get like the very, very best thing that I can find.
Yeah.
If I can figure out how to get any of those gonks unattached from the ground, I'm just going to run for it.
Yeah, unless they have some really fucking cool Sith artifact or like some really cool like, I don't know, some sort of like random ass prop or something. I don't know. I feel you. But it's gonna be fun, best friend. I'm super.
I really can't wait, man. It's gonna be awesome.
So like you have a red crystal currently. You have your purple one, which is in your apprentice saber. So what is your color idea for the saber that you're gonna build next?
So these are my two colors, all right, red and purple. So I just need a second hilt to put the red blade in, and I'm okay with the one that I've currently built. Let me grab it. This one right here.
Yeah. So when you go,
this being my purple bladed Jedi saber, because this does not have any of the pieces that I actually wanted. They were unavailable. I wanted all like the really angular, dark ones, like the very brutalist looking ones for the red blade.
So are you gonna bring take purple crystal out of that one to put into your new saber that you're going to build then?
I think the purple crystal is in its forever home, this hilt, and I need to construct an evil hilt for this one. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to forge an evil hilt for this already bled crystal.
But what about the crystal that they're gonna make you choose from when you get there? Is my question.
Well, that one, well, because I'm not sure if you can choose white from that selection. You should be able to. I will try and choose white, and if I can't, maybe yellow, just to round them out.
Gotcha.
I'm avoiding blue and green. I'm avoiding blue and green because Attack of the Clones kind of upset me when I watched it, and all the Jedi turned on their lightsabers at Geonosis, and that's the first time we saw a million lightsabers on screen like that. And they were all blue and green.
Yeah, that's true. They could have easily thrown some yellows in there, like the Old Republic game.
So I'm saying yellows, more than just one purple guy, like fuchsia, teal, cyan. That's one of my favorite things about
Jedi Guardians. Yeah.
One of my favorite things about Legends is how many colorful sabers there were. So
yeah,
I am never going to contribute more blue and green sabers to the galaxy. There's enough. There's enough already. I'm trying to round out the underrepresented colors like purple and orange and white.
Yeah, because I think something that Connie was saying a few podcasts ago is that there's a particular Sith's crystal that you can buy. Like, obviously the blade color is still red, but I guess there's a specific like Sith crystal that's like
it's a black crystal.
Black, like that's so heavy metal.
She posted a picture on Discord. You guys can check it out on our Discord server. It's so cool, and it's a random drop too. You fish it out. It comes because the crystals come in these containers, right? And some of them, you know what they're set up so you know what color you're getting, but they also have like random crystals, like mystery crystals. And I'm pretty sure those are the ones that are sometimes black. Yeah. So you never know if you're going to get one.
I want a Gandalf the Grey crystal, god damn it. So yeah, that's kind of my plan for my Batu saber hilt is if Gandalf were to make a hilt, what would it look like?
That's what Gandalf made a hilt?
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, that sucker would be made of wood and not made of metal.
Part of it's going to be, well, the elemental hilt is the one that incorporates metal and wood together. So I think
I think that it would be kind of like Gungis, but not smooth and sanded like Gungis. It would be more like gnarled.
Yeah, you'll know. We'll build it. We'll see.
It'll be withered. Like, I'm just trying to, in my mind's eye, it's withered like the top of his staff. You know, kind of splays out. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's the pommel, and you hold it upside down, and blade comes out. But speaking of Gandalf, dude, I'm glad that you brought up my good friend Gandhi, because I have been playing a brand new Lord of the Rings game that just came out, and you haven't heard of it. You told me before, the Gollum game.
So yeah, is this an indie game?
I don't know. I actually don't know. I know the developers released an apology letter because the game was very bad. In fact, so I've been streaming it on Twitch to see for myself how it is. And you know what? I'm actually having a good time. It's not great. It's very clunky and it feels rushed, but like I'm enjoying it for what it is. And the art direction is killer. Here's the trailer. Tell me what you think.
For a Gollum game. Let us see.
It's like a stealth type.
3 ways to silence them.
Oh wait, what? Here we go. Sorry about that. Playing musical screens over here.
Questions. 3 ways to silence them. Fear. Knife.
Ooh, it is not cool.
Answer. Which one do you think we should apply?
Oh my god.
The Dark Lord himself has touched and tortured. What did the Dark Lord want from him?
Don't tell them, precious!
You are my monster now. And monsters don't make friends.
That's Gandalf. They redesigned him and he looks fucking dope.
The creature
got a really cool hat.
Cruel orcs, cruel men. What has Smeagol ever done to them?
Bro, he's like moving like Caesar from fucking Planet of the Apes.
He crawls the whole game.
And he has a bolt cut.
Your promise.
Interesting.
Fucking Gollum, man.
Fucking
it's
weird.
It's an experience. I don't know. It's very clunky. The whole thing is like a stealth. It takes place during the Fellowship of the Ring. That's fucking Grond, by the way. They're building it, and you get to watch them build it, and that's pretty dope. But it's the story of how he was from Shire Baggins to escaping and following the Fellowship. It's like how he escaped Mordor, and he's currently like I'm halfway through the game, and you're in part of a slave camp, and you have to get to know your cellmates and like do a bunch of grunt work, and like you're secretly trying to escape from Dolgor. It's intense. But it's really like, I don't know, it's pretty clunky. It's pretty clunky. I appreciate that they're trying to make it their own though, and it's not just a Peter Jackson clone aesthetically.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we kind of lost something when everything had to conform to the visual language established by his 3 movies, which are fucking excellent and definitive and wonderful. But like, think about Ralph Bakshi's ridiculous, like off the wall interpretation of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit that he animated, you know, or like some of the old school Alan Lee or like Ted Naismith paintings.
It looks so fucking cool though. It works.
They were
so
fucking
well.
awesome, but people don't really do it that way anymore because now elves have to look a certain way, and Gondor has to look because of what we established in Peter Jackson's films.
Like, I'm super.
You gotta remember, it's not Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings; it's Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, and you should still be open to interpretation like this. So criticize the gameplay all you want, but the art direction in this game is fire. It is excellent. Look at Gandalf right there.
Oh my god, look at that! I want that as a fucking wallpaper.
Right?
Jesus.
Let me try and get just. Okay, that's the only part of that shot. But yeah, and the format of the game is Gandalf is interrogating you presumably in Mirkwood. I haven't found out yet, but you have to play through Gollum's retelling of how, like, Gandalf's like, how did you escape from Mordor? And he's like, we promise we don't know. And so instead you have to like play through his memories. And so like sometimes you're in like a really fucking time consuming puzzle that doesn't mean anything. And you got to remember, Gandalf is listening to this. Gandalf is sitting there listening to you talk about like a beetle that you chased through a tunnel for 25 fucking minutes. And he's like, yeah, okay, Then what happened?
Oh my god.
No, it's fun. I have not gotten to the part with Shelob yet, and I'm not excited for it because that's always gnarly. God, look at that.
That's pretty horrific.
The voice actor is doing a different kind of voice for Gollum too. It's much more of like a, I don't know. It sounds more like Dobby.
He does. Okay, so I was gonna bring that
up. A Dobby thing going on.
That's what I was gonna bring that up because I was like, okay, so but Gollum's a fucking like yes, he's a victim. Gollum is very much a victim, but he's also a villain. At the end of the day, he's a fucking villain, and he does not deserve any sort of rectification. So I really hope that this game isn't just like, oh, feel sorry for Gollum, try to survive.
It's not. It's not. It's
like I
have a nasty, gross, creepy adventure as a nasty, gross, creepy character, you know?
Yeah, like I hope you're still like having to shank guards and like slit throats.
100%. Yeah, you have to sneak into the shadows, drop rocks onto people, sick beasts on people. He doesn't do any physical combat because he's too small and too weak. So it's all like it's all about like timing things and pushing things off of things and that sort of jazz. But yeah, he's not so much a sympathetic character as he is just like your perspective character. And I think the game is built with you knowing that he's a dick. Like you're supposed to know that going in. Like the audience they assume the audience has enough context to know that Gollum's not a good guy. But it's literally just Gollum doing parkour through Mordor, and playing this at the same time as Jedi Survivor is freaking hilarious because he's like crack Kestis up in here, just like
crack Kestis.
Dude, he does like wall runs and like all of it.
He's on that cow meth. He's on that, yeah, dude.
He's on the Mordor meth, like for real.
Oh my god, it's fucking hilarious. That's too good. That's too good.
Yes, Droid Herder. They established. Look, they came together and they said, and they said, this is what we're going to use for the films. But then they sort of stayed in that niche, and it feels like the experimentation kind of stopped.
Yeah,
with the visuals of Tolkien, they were like, all right, we figured it out. We dialed it in. No more fresh takes. This is what Tolkien looks like. And now they treat it a bit more historically. Like we've got something that we take as fact, and like this is what the elves' helmet looked like. So they need to look something like this. Where I think John Howe and Alan Lee can both go back to the drawing board and come up with a brand new way that a helmet can look, and that's still correct. You know,
which is kind of what I've really appreciated about Rings of Power, right? Is that Rings of Power still had their own universal look when it came to a lot of their armor and a lot of their character design, but there was still enough influence and there was still enough like suggestion that still kind of paid homage to Peter Jackson's design and all that character reference, but it was still its own entity. Like all the Numenor shit that we saw was all its complete entity. Did it look good? Some of it looked good.
I thought Numenor looked fucking fantastic. You kidding? When they pulled into that harbor, they showed the city.
No, the city itself looked fucking phenomenal. But I mean, like some of the armor, some of them looked better than some other.
It was a choice, man. It was a choice to completely diverge from that.
Yeah.
But I think that they should have done a little bit more realism with the armor if they're gonna do realism with other things.
So like with the orcs though, how they made all the orcs albinos and they made it so that they would literally get sunburnt. So they're like, no, we have to make it so that the orcs are all subterranean and they all have these fucking cow skulls on their face, like straight up. Like
really like orcs. They look so pallid, like they had never touched sunlight, and that like they're everything about them was that way. And honestly, the sequence of fucking turning on the mountain.
Oh my god.
Just like shoving down the sword, twisting it, the water rushing through, and then the explosion and everything that happened after that. Easily one of my favorite sequences in any Lord of the Rings anything. Like that was so fucking cool.
Dude, and then that fucking farm kid and the fucking little farm kid who's like talking to Galadriel of like, no, we can't quit. This is our home. This is my home. We have to stop. We have to keep fighting. And Galadriel,
look around you, child. There's nothing here.
Like, they literally blew up a mountain. Like there's nothing we can do right now. Like,
okay, I guess I put my volcano fighting pants on. Like, what am I gonna do?
It's like we thought we were doing good, and then pyroclastic cloud, and it's like, bro, like, oh.
But Mordor Mondays are back. I'm gonna keep streaming Gollum until I finish it, and honestly, it might be a while because even though it's not a long game, it's pretty challenging, and there's not a lot of save points, and I think that's one of the reasons why people are so upset with this game. Yeah, no, although I would say it is not universally panned because I'm not ready to say that it's a bad game entirely, because one very important facet of whether a game is bad or not is the user experience, and I can only speak for myself, but I'm having a good time. I'm actually enjoying playing the game, so that should count for something, you know.
Adar, our Lord Father, is absolutely another prime example of something that wasn't created by Tolkien and something that has now been like so many people's favorite, including myself. But like that, he's just been on like such a top tier Lord of the Rings character now. Like he seems like someone Tolkien would have created, or like someone that Tolkien's son or nephew would have created, like after he died. Like he feels all fucking authentic. I think that there's
I think that there is like not, and this is not like in direct response to what you're saying, because I actually agree with what you're saying. I completely agree with that. I think there is a problem in the Lord of the Rings fan community, and this same thing is true of the Star Wars fan community, where we project everything onto the creator and we project our own opinions. There's a whole lot of Tolkien would have, George Lucas would have, like, it's like, who are we really to say what he would have said? Like, sure, we can try and estimate based on the works, but a person's written works don't define them in their very nature, you know? Like I feel like Tolkien would be pretty thrilled with a lot of contemporary Lord of the Rings stuff that's pretty hated on. I think that Tolkien would pick up a Magic the Gathering Black Aragorn card and be like, fuck yeah, this is cool. Honestly.
Dude, Arwen looks fucking gorgeous too.
Because he was an actual intellectual and he can appreciate things for what they are and appreciate the changing of times. Like that's the difference here, is that he actually had a big ass brain. He wouldn't have a problem with it. He really wouldn't. When do I stream? I stream Mondays and Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to about 4 PST, and then Wednesdays at 5 for the comics. But I'll be doing the Gollum on Mordor Mondays. So every Monday from 10 a.m. to about 4 PST.
Something else I was going to say about the should have, like the should
Durin
have.
was fantastic. Durin was fantastic.
I completely lost it and forgot it now.
It's just stand by your own argument and don't try and hide behind the creator.
Oh, I remember.
Well, he would have done it that way. It's like, well,
yeah. No, I remember now. I remember now.
Way, you know? Own it.
As I smack my elbow on the coffee table. But yes, now I remember.
Also, as you snoot your elbow upon the mountainside.
Yeah. But also shout out to Amazon and shout out to Rings of Power for offering like post-production counseling for their cast and crew, which one is totally fucked up and is really unfortunate that needed to happen, because the idea of like, oh, you can't have people of color be elves, like suck a dick, suck a bag of dicks. Like, who the fuck said that? Who the fuck said that? Who the fuck
This
said that?
message is endorsed by the Dork Forces
like,
podcast.
yeah, yeah. Elves can be whatever. Like, yeah,
Fucking
no,
dwarves.
orcs can be whatever. If elves can be whatever. Fucking dwarves, bro. Durin and his wife, we talk about all the time how the singing of the rocks was fucking haunting and so cool all at the same time. And shit,
That was
I
really
was
cool.
expecting her to be Sauron for a hot because how she has like those burning orange eyes, and there were certain shots, there were certain scenes where they were just like, man, who the fuck is it? Like, and then it got revealed.
It did a good job of like letting that be kind of like the mystery of like, who is it really? I didn't buy for a second that Gandalf was Sauron. I was like, he's Gandalf. He's definitely Gandalf.
Dude,
Halbrand
I
is
Saruman
definitely
or something,
Sauron.
man.
I suspected him from the moment we saw him
Or
on
one
that
of the
fucking raft.
blues. I was really hoping that your initial both of our initial guesses. I was really hoping he was going to be a blue, or be Saruman or someone different than Gandalf, because it seems too simple for
We've had so much Gandalf and Saruman content, but there's so many other
Yeah.
Istari out there. There's Radagast, and then there's LotR and whatever his name is, the two blue wizards. Do you know I've quite forgotten their names?
Right.
But
and they
when you
came
show up
to-
in something, they do.
and they showed up to Middle Earth first. Or I think the order was it Saruman, then the two blues, then
Saruman came, then the
like
two
Radagast
blues.
might not even be on Middle Earth yet. He might like still have
He
to
was the
wait.
last. Radagast is the youngest of the wizards.
Yeah. So there might be a whole like 500, maybe 1,000 years till he even shows the fuck up.
Yeah, there you go. Amazandalf, exactly. Rings of Power, balanced as all things should be. Yes, Amazon deserves their props for providing for their actors and defending them in this way. But on the other side of this, Amazon also deserves a little bit of heat for continuing production during the writer's strike for season 2 of Rings of Power. Season 2 sounds like it's going to have quite a few like things holding it back that they're going to have to overcome. They moved the production from New Zealand to England. So it's going to be a big challenge to try and recreate some of those like New Zealand level visuals. Like, not to be biased or anything, but it's the most beautiful country in the world. So good luck. Good luck recreating that. England is beautiful too, but like it doesn't look like Middle Earth necessarily.
The hills
I'm
are
sure. Honestly, now that I say that, I'm sure that it's exactly what inspired Middle Earth in Tolkien's mind. But again, we've established a visual in season 1 of this show that need to adhere to that kind of consistency. So according to Rings of Power, it looks like New Zealand. But yeah, I don't really know how season 2 is going to go. Because it's a writer's strike. There's no writers working on set right now, which means that if they need rewrites in the moment, which happens often, a non-writer is going to have to step in and do that. And that's how we get like
scabs.
Well, not just scabs, but how we get bullshit end results.
That's true.
Like what happened with Heroes during the last writer's strike, So Amazon's going to Amazon. And Disney Plus is no better. They also sent out notices to all of their directors and showrunners that they were expected to come back and do all their duties.
Like Loki season 2, it's been working. Yeah.
But I hope that whole situation can get resolved soon, and that writers can get compensated fairly, and that there can be protective language in there about AI and everything else that should have been happening a long time ago.
Yes.
Hopefully it'll be a turning point for the industry. And if it delays our Star Wars shows, so fucking what? I'd rather have it late and still good than on time and rushed through and corners cut because the writers weren't available, so we're going to do X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
And have the quality suffer for it. It's never worth it. Awesome. Well, yeah, I'm going to be diving into some more Gandalf. It's not the Gandalf game. It would be much better if it was the Gandalf game. It's the Gollum game. Gandalf can do everything. He can fight Balrogs and vibe with eagles.
That's
Gollum
true.
can smash bugs with rocks.
Dude, could you imagine the mini mission? Could you imagine the side quest that Gandalf and Guahir must have done to gain their friendship, sort of thing, or the side quest that him and Shadowfax must have done? How is even though Radagast is known to be the wizard of the forest, I want to know how Gandalf has how his friends or the rulers of the animal realms.
That would be sick for season 2. That would be a sweet because now Amazandalf has figured out who he is. He's like Melon, friend, blah 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 blah. Nori. And now he's like off in the forest, and he can like meet the horse. He can meet the eagle. We can see it happen. Because I don't think there is anything established as to how that happened. They can't be like, oh well, it was in the third age. Blah, blah, blah. Like it could be in the second age.
Right?
There's no contradictory evidence to that. I think that would be a really cool thing to do with his character.
Like
We can have little
yeah.
little horse moments while the Harfoots are all getting slaughtered and turning into hobbits.
Oh god, like they're fighting a bear.
Bro,
what if they dude? Could you imagine hobbits having to fight a bear? They'd get fucked so hard. They wouldn't.
It would be like the Tuscans fighting the Krayt Dragon.
A single grizzly bear would wipe out a whole caravan of hobbits in like a fucking like maybe an hour. Jesus,
that's a very powerful visual image, and I want to recreate that.
You know what it would be like? It would be like the shot in Game of Thrones season 4 when Drogon is just blasting through the Lannister cavalcade. And like fucking peak, and he's just destroying
the golden company, and they're like fucking running away.
Yeah, golden. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess that's going to be our poll question, and we will read out the results at the end of the next show.
How quick do you think a grizzly bear can take out a?
How many hobbits does it take
to take out a bear?
Turn that result around. Yeah. How many hobbits does it take to take out a grizzly bear? I'm talking a North American grizzly bear, full grown.
Okay. And hobbits have swords. They're allowed to have swords.
Hobbits can have hobbit weapons. They can have swords, but they can only have hobbit swords. All right. They don't get Aragorn's fucking massive sword.
Yeah.
And only one of them gets mithril. All right. Only one.
Oh, that's generous of you. Shit.
Well, there's at least one mithril vest bequeathed to the Shire, so at least one of them gets a mithril vest.
I thought he kept that shit.
All of them. It takes all the hobbits.
The entire Shire.
I don't know if it's enough.
I mean, you can distract a bear enough with enough of them, and then, like, I don't know.
Yeah, the only way that any hobbits would survive is if the bear got tired and took a nap because he ate so many hobbits already.
Massive distraction. Well, they could have bows and arrows.
Samwise Gamgee could take out that bear.
Yeah.
By himself. Merry would get eaten.
That's fair.
Pippin's smart enough to keep his distance, but Sam would go in and he would do it.
He'd fuck it in the ass. Yeah. He'd crispy scene. Yeah, they'd be like throwing vegetables at it and shit.
Well, this has been a fun discussion about Star Wars Shatterpoint, a Star Wars tabletop strategy game that has since evolved into pondering how many hobbits it takes to stop a grizzly bear in a rampage.
Yeah. I'd much rather find that out versus how many licks does it take to get to a Tootsie Roll set.
That was my logic as well. Sam goes head to head with Shelob, which means he's brave as hell. And that's what you're supposed to do if a grizzly attacks you, is get really big and like not back down, and the grizzly will be like, oh, you're not easy food, and peace out.
Right?
That's what you're supposed to do. But Sam's the only one with presence of mind to actually do that, Get away from him, you filth.
Yeah. And that's Shelob brain versus bear brain. Like, they have to be relatively the same size.
But also Shelob is massive in that scene because we're like Hobbit perspective.
That's true. That's
Shelob comes up to like Aragorn's waist.
Oh, like Harry Potter size.
Well, yeah, Shelob is a giant spider, but like massive giant if you're a Hobbit. But if you're a man, Shelob's just like a dog size, like pretty large still, but like not taller than you. So a grizzly bear is taller than an adult man.
I was going to say, so a grizzly bear
could fucking destroy Shelob easily.
A grizzly bear would destroy Shelob? Yeah,
probably. 100%. As long as it was on the grizzly bear's turf. In the cave with the webs, Shelob might win.
Yeah, because Shelob's got a stinger.
And can trap the paths with the webbing too. But if we're talking in the forest, the grizzly bear is going to win that fight every time. So like, I don't know if Sam could beat a grizzly just because he can beat Shelob. That's a next weight class stuff,
the size difference by itself too. Yeah, that's true.
You know who would totally kick a grizzly's ass, but never would?
The shapeshifter from The Hobbit.
Beorn, exactly. You know exactly what I was going to say.
Oh my god.
That's what would happen. Sam would be like hella brave and be like, "Fuck, I'm really going to do this, and I'm probably going to die." And just before the grizzly got him, Beorn would show up and just haymaker. And then he would look at the camera and he'd go like this. And then it would say directed by Peter Jackson.
You're like, sorry, my girlfriend. You're like, your girlfriend's a bear? I'm like, yeah. I would also, so Woodsy, I would also question if it was Morgoth whose opinion that was too. So like, when you're the epitome of darkness, I don't really, your definition of sexy is questionable when you're just uber goth.
I don't know. I can see it. I can see it in the right light. Like the crone and the willow was still kind of hot even when she was all ancient.
Was she though? I don't know about that.
There are monsters that are weirdly sexy. Okay.
Oh yeah, like the spider demon in Diablo 3 for some fucking reason. Like they're just like, oh yeah.
Yes. How's that different? It's even a spider demon.
Because Peter Jackson made Sheila. He went full spider. He didn't go half spider. He went full spider. He didn't even do what Tim Burton did in James and the Giant Peach, and go like part spider. He just went full spider with that shit.
Part spider's kind of worse.
Yeah.
There was an episode of, God, I don't remember which Star Trek it was. Maybe it was Voyager, maybe it was Next Generation, but someone had like a transporter accident and like was slowly turning into a spider. And like they go down to the Jeffries tubes and they find him and he's all like, bah! And he has like a bunch of extra eyeballs like on his face.
That's fucking gross.
And like one fang. It was horrifying. Hopefully someone in the chat knows what I'm talking about. It was like sci-fi for sure. I could have sworn it was Star Trek Next Generation. It might have been Voyager. But it was like in the late 90s on late night on TV. And I was like, Dad, what am I looking at? And he was like, go back to bed, son. He was like, you shouldn't be watching TV. I'm watching the scary shows late at night.
Why are these mandibles moving like that?
All right. My parents would always do that. They watch scary shows like the X-Files and things. Scary shows. When you're a kid, it's scary. And I would hear the X-Files theme start playing like from my room, and I would like get scared of the music.
Oh, bro. Okay, do you remember the Outer Limits? That should be our outro right now. As our closing note, you should pull up what the intro was for the Outer Limits on the Sci-Fi Channel, and then let me know if you remember this shit, because that fucking TV intro was so fucking creepy and weird for little kids. It was like the 90s version of the Twilight Zone, if I remember correctly. Like Outer Limits was still like a series of short stories that still had like
I remember. Yeah, like 1995. Yeah.
Yeah. That fucking intro though. Weird as fuck.
Let me grab it. Yeah, we'll play us out with that.
Yeah.
Since we're ending this on a spooky note. Speaking of spooky stuff, while I'm grabbing it, I'm full on in like spooky Halloween mode already because
really
I'm getting all of my October content ready for Grizzly Wizard, and I'm going to be reacting to a bunch of horror movies and posting them once a week for Spooktober. But I'm doing it all in advance. So I keep being like, is it Halloween right now?
It's so early, like the Halloween.
It takes a very long time to react to a ton of movies and get them all edited and posted. And I want to have it all ready to go before the month even starts. That's content creation, folks. Things never happen in real time. Like when I post a video on YouTube, I probably filmed it like 2 to 3 weeks ago, at least.
Because I feel like Marvel would probably not put out their Halloween comics until closer to. But if you're doing other stuff for Grizzle,
well, the comics will be for Kyle Katarn, and I always read those live, so that's the week they come out.
That's true.
And I would still do that. But yeah, I'm trying to there's so many awesome horror movies out there that I haven't seen, and I am a big fan of the genre. I just have become I just have a really long list of them, and I never work through it. So I'm trying to fix that a little bit, and yes. I'm taking suggestions from people because there's a bunch of horror fans out there that say this is the best movie, no, this is the best movie. So that's the plan.
They're all different, yeah, and they're all like really different types of horror too.
Exactly. All right, cool. And here is the outro. Found it. But the Outer Limits, huh?
Like and follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on our social medias. Like and subscribe. And thanks for watching.
And as always, may the Force be with you.
There is nothing wrong with your television. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are now controlling the transmission. We control the horizontal and the vertical. We can deluge you with 1,000 channels or expand one single image to crystal clarity and beyond. we can shape your vision to anything our imagination can conceive. We will control all that you see and hear. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the deepest